Hi guys, and welcome back to another Coffee and Heroes podcast as we come at you with our preview show. These are going to be the releases coming out this October and beyond, and of course are in the August previews book, which you can find in store. What store is that? Coffee and Heroes in Belfast. My name's Alan. I'm the owner of Coffee and Heroes. If this is your first time here, welcome. Joined as ever, Mr. Keith Miller.
That was a fantastic wee reboot of the introduction there, Alan. That was natural, just slid off the tongue. Perfect. You're a professional.
I have my moments. I have my moments. Yeah, I mean this is the one podcast we've been able to really keep on top of. Previews every month, and that's despite the fact that it's getting more and more difficult for previews. Obviously, we've talked about it before. The main previews book is no longer available in physical form. You can find it online. We do still get sent these lovely books. So the likes of DC have their own book. Marvel has their own book. IDW send out. Image send out. But we're just going to throw a little shout out here for League of Comic Geeks. If you go onto Google and just search October Solicitations Comics, League of Comic Geeks, they have broken it down really well by publisher, and it's a really good resource if like you're looking through your phone or your tablet, or even if you're in the store. We will have all physical books that we can
Mm.
have, if you want to come in and have a chill out and read through them.
I think they have an app as well.
Oh yeah,
Certainly they used to
we're
have,
really
but
throwing out shout outs here. We
well,
should be getting a little
yeah,
bit of sponsorship money here.
yeah. I mean, to be fair to them, that's the website that I used to put together my pull list for you, so that the dates aren't always spot
Yeah,
on,
the
but
dates are a pain in the butt for it
yeah,
because
yeah.
the way comics ship at the moment's a little bit scattershot, but they're predominantly the American release dates, but sometimes we're operating a week behind. But no, it is a really, really good resource, and as you
Mm,
say, you've been using it for a number of years to
yeah,
keep
yeah.
on top of your own pull list. But yeah, as I say, we're going to be going through the previews books here. We'll break it down as we always do. You got your DC, your Marvel, and then your Independent, which of course covers Image, Dark Horse, Boom, Only Press, Titan, etc., etc. So DC Connect is a pretty big one this month. Actually, I think we've had a few leaner months of DC as they've been obviously continuing on with the Absolute books, the All In Initiative, but they're going big for what's being called their biggest event of the year, which is going to be a book called DC KO, which we'll certainly get into in a second. There's some tie-in books, there's some prelude books, which we'll certainly be getting into. The Absolute Universe in general will be celebrating its 1 year anniversary in October, and they're going to be releasing a one shot for that, focusing on some of the villains of the Absolute Universe. It also means we're going to start getting annuals for those Absolute titles, including one I'm very excited about, as it brings Daniel Warren Johnson into
Oh
play.
yes, absolutely.
Oh, that's going to be a good one.
Hmm.
We're just going to throw out a little bit more info again. Matt Fraction relaunching Batman with a brand new #1. That's actually hitting in September, but we're just going to throw out some reminders and let you know the story direction for that. A couple of other good #1s, and then plenty of great collected editions, including, again, a lovely emphasis on their compact editions, DC Finest, and also some new Absolute trade paperback slash hardcovers as well. So a pretty packed book for DC, which we will get into in a moment. But
I see they've got a wee advert in the DC book for Marvel's Deadpool Batman, and noting that don't miss DC's Batman Deadpool on sale in November.
yeah, what's interesting about that, not to like jump too far ahead or anything, is that the DC book carries the Marvel one, and the Marvel book actually carries the DC ad.
Yeah, interesting. Very good. Very good. Nice to see.
Um,
Nice to see.
but we'll throw in a wee reminder for the Deadpool Batman as well once we go through Marvel. Although I have to say it's the biggest book I've ever ordered in terms of numbers. I have went a little bit crazy on that one, so no one will miss out. But anyway, that's the DC book. As I say, what about the Marvel book? What can we look forward to this month?
Well, as you know, San Diego Comic Con has been in full effect. Dropping news left, right, and center. But what we've got and a lot of what was talked about at the time was a lot of what we'd be talking about this month in previews for Marvel, certainly, and that is the new X-Men Age of Revelation event, which I think, somewhere between low-key excited and low-key pissed off about. Uh, it's an interesting place to be. So that's most certainly the big thing. I think it takes up the first 20 pages of the book, but there's a lot going on, and we'll do our best to try and lay that out for you as we go through the book. We've got Spider-Man Noir, I guess an alternative Spider-Man favorite who has been about this last wee while, these last number of years, and I think came up in some of the Across the Spider-Verse movies. Wasn't that right?
That's the one.
Um, we have the delivery on a bit of a tease in one of the Free Comic Book Day books as Marvel drops the Fantastic Four Gargoyles one shot by Gargoyles creator Greg Weisman, which I'm super excited about. We've got a one shot returning to Planet Hulk, which I'm sure you've read Planet Hulk, Greg
Yeah.
Pak. Excellent, excellent book. We got a little visit into White Tiger, recently brought to the forefront by the Daredevil Born Again series. Amazing Spider-Man Torn. Venom hits issue 250. We have finally the release of the Spirits of Vengeance sequel, Spirits of Violence, which is long delayed. We have some Marvel Black, White, and Blood and Guts. We have the end of Imperial, the John Hickman series, and not one but two Punisher books, and obviously we mentioned Deadpool, Batman, and also one that I wasn't entirely expecting, and that was the return of CrossGen to Secret Wars. That's a strange one.
Well, first of all, calm down, Neil. It's real. There's going to be two Punisher books at the same time, which is great to see. But yeah, no, pretty packed Marvel book and some good collected editions in there as well. Into the side of independent stuff, and as ever, we've got a really good mix this month. I mean, sometimes, Image can really, hog the headlines when it comes to the independent stuff, or Boom can have a really strong month. But there's lots of good stuff this month. Dynamite are continuing to grow in my estimation. They keep adding new stuff and getting new licenses and using them really, really well. So there's an expansion of the Thundercats universe. There's a new starting point for Terminator, which is going to be focusing more after Judgment Day as opposed to everything before it. There's also a license they've got, which I know a lot of people in store are going to be excited about. There were DC Comics for this particular property a few years back, but they're quite hard to find. Titan has some great stuff. As ever, there's going to be a celebration of Conan in this podcast, because what is a Coffee and Heroes podcast without a celebration of Conan at some point? Oni Press have got some cool stuff. Friend of the pod, Chris Condon's got a new book coming out there. There's actually an honest to God cowboy book solicited as well,
Yeah,
which we'll
what?
certainly focus on. I know. Image Comics, we've got a new creative team taking over Transformers, and what a creative team. We'll jump into that. We've got a really interesting thing being done through Ice Cream Man, which we'll get into, and my pre-orders for that are already pretty big. A little bit of expansion for Something is Killing the Children, a new book from another friend of the pod and friend of the store, Tini Howard. We've got new Kyle Stark stuff. We've got sequels to long established properties in comics, 30 Days of Night. All kinds of good stuff in the indie book this month. And as we say, do check out League of Comic Geeks, and you can just search the solicitation and they will break it down by each publisher. But just in case you can't make it to League of Comic Geeks, we're going to go through it all now and keep you guys up to date. So we'll start off as ever with DC, just so I can continue to live up to my DC stereotype that I favor everything DC. And yeah, the big one this month is definitely front and center on the cover DC KO. This was something that was announced a little before San Diego Comic-Con, but certainly further expanded on there. It is written by a favorite of mine and favorite of DC at the moment, Scott Snyder, and art by Javi Fernandez. So the solicitation goes: DC's major 2025 event is here. Welcome to the slugfest of the century. So the Heart of Apocalypse has transformed Earth into a hellscape in preparation for the return of Darkseid. The end of the DC universe is here. The Justice League's only chance to defeat Darkseid is to enter a deadly tournament, an epic and over-the-top battle royale that will surprise you. The world's greatest heroes fight to become the champion to enter the ring against Darkseid, but there's a catch. The closer you get to the Heart of Apocalypse, the more it corrupts you, changes you into something more dangerous. Which DC character has what it takes to make it to the end? Who is willing to do what it takes to win it all, even if it means taking down their friends and family? And then I hate that they've put this line in here, because my disdain for Batman 89 is well known. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. But yeah, this sort of came out of nowhere. I mean, usually when it comes to events, whether it's DC or Marvel or, Energon Universe or whatever, there's usually like leaks online and, bits and pieces come out. This came out of nowhere for me. Joshua Williamson's involved in it as well, which we'll get on to in a wee second. There's varying covers from everyone from Jim Lee to Daniel Warren Johnson. They're even bringing in AEW wrestlers for variant covers, which I'm very excited about. Yeah, I think this is going to be great. I mean, you said that this was almost like a DC version of what? Contest of Champions, is it?
Contest of Champions,
The Marvel equivalent?
1980s
Mm,
series. There was over the from the 80s right the way through. There was like three different Contest of Champions, which is effectively the games master and a couple of the uh, sort of masters of the universe types
mm-hmm.
bringing heroes together in order to fight for whatever. But I mean, it's also the same as similar to Secret Wars, you know.
Yeah,
You must fight for your heart's desire, as the Beyonder sort of said, those sorts of things. So I suppose in some ways this sort of event is a perennial of comics. You know what I
yeah.
mean? We're used to seeing the heroes fight the villains. We get to see the heroes fight the heroes. We got a DC versus Marvel, the original DC versus Marvel, it's going to be hard to avoid. It's definitely going to be hard to avoid unless you're just reading the absolute books because this runs, this ties into everything. I have heard that this is still primarily a Superman book.
Hmm.
So that Superman will be
Yeah,
the
it's a
focus of
Superman
it.
book until Batman inevitably wins in the end. And then, it becomes a Batman.
I see. Yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, how many issues are we? Do we know how many?
I think it's either going to be, it doesn't specify here, but I think it's either 4 or 5. I think it's 5 is what I'd seen announced with. It's certainly a mini series. As you say, there will be depth brought to it by having lots of different tie-ins. It does look quite nice looking through the previous book, Marvel or DC. So some Freudian slip there.
Uh-huh.
DC are very, very good in their previous books, I think, of letting you know the books that are tied in, the ones that aren't. So, you'll see their Justice League Unlimited. It says DCKO tie-in, Titans, Superman, etc. But one thing they also do specify here is there is a DCKO Prelude issue, which is just a one shot, I believe, which is
That's
Justice League: The Omega Act.
yeah, the Omega Wag. That's Joshua Williamson, right?
Yeah, so Joshua Williamson writing, Yasmin Putri on art. Yasmin Putri, people may know from doing Dark Knights of Steel recently, amongst many, many other things, but I think that's the most up-to-date work I can think of. But yeah, it's down as a one-shot, as I say, 48 pages, a special oversized prologue to DC's biggest event of the year. Everything since DC All-In Special has been building to this moment. Time Trapper is on the run from Darkseid's Legion, racing through time to learn how to stop Darkseid's conquest. He witnesses how the future is already lost and the only hope of survival lies with the Justice League. The Time Trapper has a plan to save the DCU, but it means making an impossible offer to the League. So yeah, that's going to be your setup issue. Obviously, they've talked about how events from All In Special have been leading up to this, but obviously, if you're new to comics or you've maybe been just sticking to the absolute books, that kind of thing, this will be the kind of issue that brings you up to date with all the information you need and setting
Yeah,
in motion all the events for the main event.
and again, that looks like it does tie quite closely to Superman. I don't know if you've been reading Josh Williams Superman, but
Believe it or
time
not, Superman is the only Superman book I'm not reading. I'm reading Action
interesting.
Comics and I'm reading Superman Unlimited. But
I'm loving Action Comics. I really am the Superboy
mm,
stuff. But so Time Trapper is a sort of final evolution version of Doomsday, an intelligent version of Doomsday who can control time and reality and different things like that. Um, so that connects tightly to Superman, and also that front cover, which shows Superman holding Booster Gold's body
hmm
in the same style as Contest
Crisis.
or Crisis on Infinite Earths, Crisis Multiple Earths. He was holding Supergirl's, um, and Booster Gold obviously has been fairly tied to the All In stuff. Having disappeared, I think we think he's in the Absolute universe, don't we?
hmm
So yeah, that'll be interesting. That sort of got me excited. In terms of the format of it, uh, it looks like there's a lot of tie-ins. So it ties into Justice League Unlimited, ties into Superman, ties into the Flash, Titans, uh, pretty much everything that isn't absolute. It's and also the new Batman book. It seems to be sort of tying into, but the descriptions would seem to suggest that th those tie-ins aren't tied in so close that you couldn't do without them if you didn't want to.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the way the previous books lined up or laid out, it does state that all those books are linked to it, but I don't think much of the core line is actually linked to it as you go through the previous book. Obviously, the main Batman title, as you say, isn't linked. Detective Comics isn't. Red Hood isn't. Nightwing isn't. Catwoman, Poison Ivy, Batman
Mm.
and Robin, Batgirl. So a lot of the main DC books do, even World's Finest, which is quite surprising. Is none of those seem to be linked to it. So, as you say, I think because it's very Superman centric, very Superman focused, a lot of the books with Superman in it, so the likes of the main title and Justice League Unlimited, that kind of thing, obviously are linked to it. Plus, Superman's being written by Joshua Williamson, so it makes
Yeah,
sense that he
absolutely.
would certainly use that book.
Mark Waid seems to be a fairly big part of this as well, which will please
Mark
some
Waid's a
people.
big part of everything DC at the
Yeah, I
moment.
mean that's sort of interesting. I mean, I jumped off the Flash a wee while ago, but I noticed that this certainly Flash 26, which is the ADCKO time event, is Mark Waid and Christopher Cantwell. Is that a first? Is that the first time they've been on that
Yeah,
book?
so Spurrier's finishing at 25. I was listening to an interview with him recently, actually. I think it was off panel again. And he said he wanted to announce that he was leaving the book himself. I think he's a really interesting guy, Si Spurrier. We've had some great conversations with him over at Thought Bubble. And I think the consensus online was some people weren't really enjoying his Flash run. It was a bit cosmic horror, whereas people expect like traditional superhero stuff. But he basically talks in the interview about how the only way he would do something like The Flash is if he could do something totally different.
Yeah.
And he knew the stories would start popping up that he had been, fired from the book or left the book, but he said he left of his own accord.
Yeah.
He had nothing else left to do in the book, 25 issues and done. So I don't know if Wade or Campbell will be taking over the book or whether they'll just be doing the DCKO time. We'll wait and see.
Okay, yeah, wait and see. But that Flash book is a tie-on. It's Wally and Impulse. As the chaos around the DC universe erupts during DCKO, Impulse has an idea how to fix it. Impulse Point, a terrible move that could wipe out everything unless the Flash can catch up with them as they race through time. So, I mean that suggests that it is like a classic tie-in. It's tied to the story, but
Hmm.
may not be necessary. If you are only reading the core storyline. And all of them sort of read a wee bit like that, which is kind of cool. It's nice to see.
Yeah, no, definitely tie-ins. We've talked about tie-ins many times in the past. Again, just in case you're new to comics and all the rest, tie-ins should never be essential. Like the main bulk of the story should always be in the main event of the book. What they tend to do is add texture and depth and maybe show you where maybe some of your favorite characters are who maybe aren't in the main book,
Mm.
show how
And
it's affecting them.
actually, what we're seeing this month is two very different ways of doing events.
Oh, very
And
much so.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
that's
So
that's a
yeah.
fair point. But away from the DCKO, the Absolute Universe turns one this, which my goodness, how quickly that's passed.
Mm.
So yeah, it's going to be the 1 year anniversary of the Absolute Universe, and they're going to be doing a one shot for this occasion, written by Al Ewing, art by Giuseppe Camuncoli and Stefano Nesi. It's a 48-page one shot, as I say, called Absolute Evil. Now, again, with something like this is a one shot tied to the Absolute Universe. I'm not going to assume people want this because our numbers fluctuate quite a bit in the Absolute Universe. We're five away, Keith, by the way. Five away from triple digits for Absolute Batman. There's
Oh
95
wow.
people in Absolute Batman now. I really want to reach that 100. So if you're listening to this podcast and you come to the store and you don't have Absolute Batman on your pull list, get it
And
on
you're
there.
not counting variant covers there?
Not current variant covers. That's just straight cover
Very
ace.
good. Wow, brilliant.
Straight cover ace. But like for example, Superman and Wonder Woman, like we have over 60 people on those, so it's still a really, really big book for us. But because the numbers fluctuate so much, I won't automatically put this on anybody's pull list. So if you do want it, do let us know. But the solicitation goes, the emergence of superheroes has caught the attention of the world, and it's certainly caught the attention of the people who run it. Ra's al Ghul, Veronica Cale, Eleanor Thawne, Hector Hammond, and the mysterious Joker have worked across purposes until now. But this growing threat requires new ways of thinking and new partnerships. An insidious betrayal from within their ranks is imminent, and if they don't take action, they'll lose control of a planet that was built to be their playground. Superstars Al Ewing and Giuseppe Camuncoli join forces to kickstart the next era of Absolute Universe stories, with several shocking new character reveals and one big unmissable twist. So do not miss out on
Is
that.
that a one shot or is that
It is a one shot.
okay? Cool.
So, I mean, a lot of people have already signed up for it who are on the Absolute Universe stuff, but again, I just don't like to assume. One
Yeah,
thing I will
yeah.
assume, however, is that if you're on Absolute Batman, you will want the Absolute Batman Annual. Because first of all, it's part of Absolute Batman, but also it is written by and drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson. Also joined by James Harren and Meredith McLaren. So again, annuals will be one shots. By and large, they should be one shot stories. And in this, it's going to be an early adventure of the Absolute Batman. Some of the biggest names in comics take a turn in the Absolute Universe. Daniel Warren Johnson and James Harren tell tales from Absolute Batman's early days. How did Bruce acquire the Batmobile? And what was it like for Black Mask's party animals when Batman first hit the scene? So again, adding a little bit of texture, adding a little bit of depth, going back early into the Absolute Batman mythos. So this to me, this is what you use annuals for. You know, they should never be like part six in an eight-part story of the main line. They should be sort of one shots that people can pick up, even if they're not, you know, on that title, but it might get them into said title. And then just to throw it out there as well, you'd mentioned the Batman main title. Obviously, Matt Fraction is kicking off a new Batman #1. We spoke about this before. It's obviously a big deal for us in the store. It's the first time we've ever launched a mainline Batman #1. When we opened over 8 years ago, Tom King's run was maybe at about issue 12, 13. So the fact we're going to be launching a Batman #1 is a big deal. And it's coming across as a big deal for customers, to be honest. You know, I know, for example, with yourself, you know, Hush wasn't really doing it for you, which is fair
Mm-hmm.
enough. So you're sort of on pause until Fraction starts. I have maybe around 50 people on Batman, but I then have a little bracket that is like plus 15 when Fraction starts, you know. So people are definitely gravitating towards this brand new #1. Jorge Jimenez on art. Matt Fraction's a tremendously exciting choice for this. Brilliant, brilliant writer. Obviously, a bulk of his work is at Marvel.
Yeah,
Some of
yeah.
the best stuff for Marvel for years.
Yeah, very, very good. And I mean, obviously, the thing that has you most excited is something that I just realized whenever I read this particular solicitation is that Robin is Tim Drake, your favorite Robin.
It's just, why would you stitch me up like this? Because there's no need for this. Well, I will say this. I have read the first two issues. We did get
Yeah, yeah.
early store access to them, and even Tim Drake is interesting when written by Matt Fraction. So that's the biggest testament I can give to it. But yeah, no, this really does feel really fresh. It feels really ground level in terms of if you've never read a Batman book before, you will not be lost jumping into this. It reestablishes certain tropes. It moves forward with certain others. It's a new design for Batman in terms of the bat suit. Matt Fraction has promised not every issue is going to be a rain-trodden, downtrodden Gotham City the whole time. Yeah, the first issue's been very, very good. So I just wanted to throw it out there in this pod just to remind people there are still time to sign up for it when it starts. I have ordered big on it again because, again, I've never had the chance to order Batman #1 mainline title, certainly for the store. So continuing on through the book, you know, you have plenty of titles just continuing, you know, Poison Ivy continuing, Catwoman, Red Hood will be at #2. That's another #1 that hasn't just launched. We have Batman and Robin Year One coming to an end, which is Mark Waid, Chris Samney.
That's been
A
great. Yep.
little bit more on that actually later in this book. Batman Dark Patterns, you know, are I think both our personal favorite Batman
Yeah,
book at
yeah.
the moment.
That's
It's
got one
issue
more
11.
issue 12 it's going to, right?
Issue 12, it's going to, yeah, four three-parters. But one I wanted to throw out some attention for is a Superman Red and Blue 2025 special. Geez, I really am becoming a Superman, Mark. This is terrible. So it's written by a bunch of some of the best people around. So written by Paul Dini, Dan Abnett, Michael Walsh, Rainbow Rowell. Is that Rainbow Rowell's first thing in
In
DC?
DC, I am
Possibly.
not 100% sure.
Obviously, most well known for She-Hulk.
Most
Uh,
recently,
art
yeah.
art by Caitlin Yorsky, Michael Walsh, Kane Tormey, and more. The beloved Eisner nominated series returns with a special one shot to put a cap on Superman's monumental year. Witness visions of the Man of Steel in his signature colors of red and blue, brought to you by comics' finest writers and artists. I mean, this has me really excited because Superman Red and Blue was a six-issue miniseries anthology, loads of different creators. It was sort of Superman's version of Batman Black and White. Then they did a Wonder Woman Black and Gold. And out of all of them, for me, even though I'm a dyed-in-the-wool Batman guy, Superman Red and Blue was the best book. It was fantastic. It's one I love recommending to people in the store. Lots of snapshots about what, Clark Kent's all about, what, Lois Lane's about, what Superman's all about, what that whole universe is about. So highly, highly recommended. So a little one-shot annual like that, I think, is the way to go. Continuing on, and we're on to Keith's favorite part of any DC book, and that is the silly size book.
And I have nothing to do with any of them.
He says as he pre-orders Batman the Second Night.
Of course, of
Anyway,
course.
yeah, this is a sequel to one of the first. I think this was one of the first DC Black Label books when
That's
it
right,
seemed
it
like
was, yeah.
every Black Label book was Bat related. It was a book called Joker Harley Criminal Sanity. It was 8 issues in total. It reimagined Harley Quinn as a criminal profiler, and the Joker was a serial killer she was chasing. So there's a sequel to this coming, and it's the same creative team as before. It's Kami Garcia writing and art by Miko Suyan and Jason Bador. The sequel is called Malicious Intent. No specificity here in terms of how long it's going to be, but it is coming back again, that oversized format. 1 year after defeating the Joker, spoilers for the first book, Harley is still hunting serial killers, just not in the city she used to protect. She burned her association with the GCPD and Lieutenant Jim Gordon and now works with vigilantes to seek a very different kind of justice. But when Gotham headlines about a new series of grisly crime scenes lead to speculation that her nemesis is somehow escaping to continue his murder spree, she feels compelled to return. Jonathan Crane, former classmate and current head of Arkham Asylum, assures her that the Joker is securely locked in a cell, yet the women of Gotham are still being stalked by a killer who is using their corpses to make art. Unwilling to return to the police precinct and its regulations, Hardy forms an alliance with some unlikely conspirators, and these women work to save the people of Gotham City. New York Times #1 bestseller Kami Garcia, Miko Suyan, Jason Bador return to the gritty, terrifying version of Gotham they explored in the Bram Stoker Award nominated Joker Harley Criminal Sanity to delve into the twisted mind of a killer, his disciple, and the women who will take them down. I think I got to reread Criminal Sanity because it actually that makes it sound great. But I genuinely don't remember much about it.
It wasn't yesterday, Alan. It wasn't yesterday.
Well, I think it was coming out around the same time as Harleen, and Harleen was so, so good. Like it was an exceptional book. So maybe it just slightly overshadowed.
Hmm.
Just a couple more from myself. You're probably bored of listening to me, but Keith is saving his voice for his 20-minute lecture on Age of Revelation. At my request, I should say. But yeah, a book that's making a comeback, which is nice to see. This was a great DC all ages book. It first came out, it must have been, was it during the New 52 or just after the New 52? A book called Gotham Academy, long before Strange Academy, may I say. But a very, very different book. Gotham Academy, yeah, it was like a young adult book. It was to do with, kids who go to college in Gotham City. There was a really good issue actually where Damien went undercover in school, which, good sense of humor to it. But yeah, they're bringing it back, and it's under the name Gotham Academy First Year. So brand new #1, 40-page #1 as well. Written by Brendan Fletcher, Carl Kerschel, and Becky Cloonan. So all the original writers are back. Art by Marco Ferrari. Olive Silverlock has a problem, and it's shaped like Gotham's favorite hero, Batman. He saved her when her mom lost control and got Commissioner Gordon to pawn her off on Bruce Wayne, who promptly shuffled her off to Gotham Academy boarding school with a bunch of awful rich kids, as if she wasn't traumatized enough. How will Olive navigate her trauma as a new student? Who will she share her first kiss with? And why are the existing fans talking so much about maps? Fall in love with the fan favorite characters all over again in this revealing prequel, taking readers back to Gotham Academy. Artist Marco Ferrari joins the original team as we return to the hallowed halls for even more mystery, romance, and teen drama. Guaranteed to delight fans of the original series and introduce new readers to the lovable cast. Don't miss the year it all began. So that will do us in terms of single issues from the DC book this month, but there is quite a packed collected edition section as well.
Hmm.
Just to throw out information, of course, there's two new Absolute books that are being collected together for release in this month, which is Absolute Flash Volume 1 and Absolute Green Lantern Volume 1. They will, of course, both be available as trade paperbacks and hardcovers on the same day. This is something that DC have started doing, which as a store I'm loving. It gives people the option from the start whether they want to go with one format or the other. But
What's that price difference in those?
price difference in them is £6. So the trades come in at around 17 and the hardcovers are around 23. It should be said the hardcovers are maybe a centimeter taller. There's maybe a tiny increase in the art size, but by and large, it's the same book. It's just whatever format you prefer.
Yeah.
I'm a hardcover guy, but there. What I saw today, for example, we're recording this the day that Absolute Batman came out. I ordered 20 hardcovers and 5 trades because I just assumed people preferred hardcovers. I sold out of trade paperbacks day one and sold about 3 hardcovers. So
All right, you live, you learn.
I've already ordered more trades for next week, but it
Sweet, sweet.
means it does allow me to tailor my orders a bit more moving forward because we always try to respond to what customer trends are doing. But yeah, as I say, you'll have the opportunity to get Absolute Flash Volume One, which of course is Jeff Lemire and Nick Robles, and then there will be Absolute Green Lantern Volume One, and that is Al Ewing and Janoy Lindsay. But do pray tell, let me rest my voice for 1 minute, and Keith will take it from here.
Sure thing. Tell you a little bit about the new era of Aquaman. We've got Aquaman Volume 1, The Dark Tide by Jeremy Adams and art by John Timms. This is about as exciting as Aquaman has been in a wee while. Very much a return to the Aquaman of the DC universe rather than the Aquaman of the extended universe, the Jason
Hmm.
Momoa sort of surfer dude Aquaman. Um, so this is it's a soft cover. It's 184 pages. In the wake of absolute power, Arthur Curry's powers have evolved to powerful new heights, and this king is ready to kick some serious butt. Yet water rescues and fighting monsters are the least of his worries. Arthur's kingdom and his family have disappeared without a trace. With a mysterious pearl as his only clue, Aquaman embarks on a quest to save the ones he loves. On a journey filled with deadly foes and unexpected allies, Aquaman uncovers more questions than answers. What is the blue? How are his new water morphing abilities connected, and who exactly is Dagon? From the sensational talents of writer Jeremy Adams, Green Lantern and The Flash, and artist John Timms, Harley Quinn, Young Justice, discover Aquaman numbers 1 to 8 in Aquaman Volume 1, The Dark Tide. I gotta tell you, I am thoroughly, thoroughly enjoying Aquaman at the minute. Just very, very good. I mean, mostly I would say what Jeremy Adams touches turns to gold. He's a very, very good writer, very good superhero writer. He goes into these projects knowing the characters that he's writing and taking them off in a new sort of direction. And this has worked fantastically. Rarely has Aquaman been so badass. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I think Jeremy Adams is almost the equivalent of someone like Jed McKay for Marvel, sort of quietly working in the background, producing brilliant work. And I think Jeremy Adams could be like one of the next big breakout writers for DC. Green Lantern Corps, I said to people in the store all the time, it's the best book not enough people are reading. It's an absolute, and I'm not a big Green Lantern guy, but the book is just so brilliantly written and drawn. He's obviously doing the main Green Lantern title, which is great. And then, as you say, Aquaman. So he's
mm,
sort of cutting his teeth with some of the maybe slightly less revered characters. But I think give it a year or two, you'll see Jeremy Adams on like Detective Comics or an Action Comics or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Hmm.
But yeah, definitely one that has me excited this month is the collected edition for Batman and Robin Year One. I'd mentioned it
Oh
earlier
yeah.
with,
Hmm.
the last issue hitting this month. Well, the solicitation's also here for again for me anyway, there's trade paperbacks or hardcovers. I say that, and then you do Aquaman. It's only a trade. But this one does come with a choice of hardcover or trade paperback. So yeah, written by Mark Waid and Chris Samney, and drawn by Chris Samney. The early days of comics' greatest crime-fighting duo come to life in this stunning collection, courtesy of two of modern comics' greatest storytellers. While Bruce Wayne and orphan Dick Grayson struggle with the challenges of becoming father and son and partners, a mysterious new crime boss called the General declares war on Gotham's mob families. But what is his connection to Two-Face? Batman and his new sidekick Robin are out for answers, but they'll take everything they have to navigate both sides of their relationship, with Dick Grayson's present and future hanging in the balance. Collects all 12 issues of the acclaimed miniseries. I mean, it's just great to have a Dick Grayson story again where he's Robin, because
Yeah.
those are few and far between these days, because Nightwing is obviously such a revered and established character in his own right.
Yeah. And not only is he Robin, but he is that year one Robin. It's the first year of,
Yeah.
he's immediately after he's become the ward of Bruce, and how Bruce and Alfred are sort of dealing with him. And it's, Alfred almost becoming that father figure to him that Bruce can't be. And then
Hmm.
the adventure itself, about is very cool, about the general, who's also the crime boss kind of dude. It's very, very cool. Yeah. Very enjoyable. But
But
that's that.
yes,
It's that dream team of Wade and Samney.
yeah, anything they do touch, they it's gold. Daredevil run, Black Widow run, Captain America run. Those two work together. It's yeah, the usual result is gold.
Yep, absolutely. So, I mean, I've been a huge fan of, as you have, as I think everybody is, of the DC Compact editions. They're really this year they have been one of the standout formats
Yeah,
of comics in general. I've got sort of most of them, and I've got them shelved, and I love pulling them down and firing them into my bag if I'm going traveling or whatever. But in October we have one that maybe a lot of folks haven't read. It's not strictly a superhero book, but it is from the team behind All Star Superman, and it is a bit of a masterpiece. And that is the DC Compact Comics edition of We Three, written by Grant Morrison and art by Frank Quitely, coming in at that 9.99 price point, 144 pages. And it's a lovely soft cover. Weapons of the future. Deep inside a top secret US research facility, a revolution in cybernetics is taking shape. Using ordinary domestic animals, the scientists of Project AWE have created a new class of cyborgs, flesh and metal creatures designed to rule the battlefields of tomorrow. Prototypes codenamed We Three. But successful as they are, We Three are still only prototypes to be dismantled when their testing is complete. Faced with destruction, We Three run out into the frightening and confusing world where they are now as much of a threat as those who hunt them. Relentlessly pursued, We Three fight with the combined firepower of a battalion and a faint, warm memory of somewhere called home. We Three is a tale crafted by best-selling writer Grant Morrison and superstar artist Frank Quitely, All-Star Batman, Batman and Robin, JLA and Earth 2, and is a creative high point for these two comic giants. Very much so, very much so. If you
yeah,
haven't read
wonderful.
We Three, yeah, now's the time.
Yeah, I mean it's nice that they're doing these sorts of stories in the different formats. I mean, it got a deluxe hardcover edition recently with loads of back matter and scripts and sketches and this and that. So if you want to do deep dives into it, that's a format that is available. But it's great that they do this format, less than a tenner, pure story driven, lovely edition. As you say, very portable as well. I mean, this week New Frontier came out in this format, classic Darwin Cookbook.
Mhm.
And I think it might be the best example of it so far
Oh, really?
because Darwin Cook's art is very cartoony. He's
Mm.
more of a cartoonist almost than like a detailed artist. Detailed art sort of collapses down a wee bit, whereas a beautiful like Chris Samney, I think any Chris Samney work would work brilliant in this format as well. When you've got that cartoonist style, it just pops off the page even
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
smaller format. So I'd highly recommend, adding that to your collection.
Oh, I mean,
And
it's one that I am not as familiar with. It's already on the list. I meant to pick it up whenever I was in, but I'll probably be in tomorrow or Friday, so I'll grab it then.
Well, I mean, I just created the ultimate segue there as I now talk about Batman by Darwin Cook, the
Boom.
Absolute Edition. Now, the Absolute Edition, not to be confused with the Absolute Universe, because why make it easy for us? Absolute Editions with DC are oversized formats. They're large library-sized books, hardcover bound. They come with a slipcase. They are, a lot bigger in size, a good 2 inches in each direction, bigger than traditional comics. And DC tend to do it for their best titles. So they're doing this Batman by Darwin Cook Absolute Edition, 544 pages of Darwin Cook goodness. So the masterworks of Darwin Cook printed in the biggest format ever. Escape into the brilliance of Darwin Cook in this massive, one-of-a-kind Absolute Edition celebrating his life, work, and legacy. Collects Batman Ego, Batman the Spirit #1, Catwoman Selina's Big Score, Catwoman 1 to 4, Solo #5, stories from Batman Gotham Knights 23 and 33, Detective Comics 759, 762, Harley Quinn Holiday Special #1. Here's one you might not have expected. Just imagine Stan Lee with Chris Bicalo creating Catwoman #1 and his first published story from Talent Showcase #19, featuring an extensive gallery of covers, original art along with an introduction, and essays by artist and longtime editor for Cook Mark Chiarello, essays by friends and collaborators, and so much more. So that is very much a celebration of, the genius that was Darwin Cook. A lot of these absolute editions, they tend to be sort of classic stories, your Watchmen's, your Hushes, your Dark Knight Returns. They're very seldom a celebration of one creator. So that sort of shows what high regard Darwin Cook is held in. And then just one last one from me for DC, and again, it's another collected edition, and it is Batman the Demon Trilogy. This is a 2025 edition, new hardcover, three classic Batman original graphic novels in one exquisite hardcover. From writers Mike W. Barr and Denny O'Neil, with artists Jerry Bingham, Tom Grindberg, and Norm Breyfogle, these stories set the foundation for decades of future comic storytelling and inspired the creation of Bruce and Talia's son, Damian Wayne, the current Robin. Batman the Demon Trilogy collects three original graphic novels into a single volume hardcover at the original trim size, with essays by Barr and actor Mark Hamill, of all people. But yeah, that is classic Batman storytelling right there. Highly recommended. All three together, 304 pages. Lovely stuff. So now I'm going to do my Vegas dealer best impression. Keith, the floor is yours. Talk to us about the X-Men.